Good evening. My name is Savina Martin, and welcome to the 2023 Freedom Church of the Poor Winter Offensive, the season of Advent. Tonight, Tony and I will lead us through the powerful lineup of prophetic leaders from the National Union of the Homeless. We'll hear from teachers, preachers, and biblical scholars who have joined us on tonight. The Winter Offensive. During the mid 1980s to the early 1990s, I can remember joining the fight with displaced workers, welfare warriors, artists, and homeless families, which emerged out of the class struggle against the US state apparatus, facing impoverishment and social struggle under US neoliberalism in the 1980s. We were witnessing the most visible expression of poverty, but we fought back. Homeless and poor people built a multiracial organization to demand housing and economic justice in over 25 cities across the US in the mid 1980s, collectively forming the National Union of the Homeless. But in the early 1986 season, we launched the Winter Offensive under the banner of Jobs and Homes, Not Death in the Streets. Carrying out the Winter Offensive during the upcoming Christmas season, the Winter Offensive covers a period of the highest celebration and custom in the religious culture and civic life of especially the United States. Besides being a period of time when our poor and homeless experience the most deadly conditions and suicides, capitalists, commercialism, and cultural ritualism combined with much PR and charity pretense the poor and homeless at their highest. The very harsh times that we had lived in is thinly covered with Christmas carols during that Winter Offensive year. And up till today, we see church services and fake crocodile tears for our poor and homeless siblings. Nonetheless, this period regularly provides particular public attention and platforms for the independent and just messages of a mass organizing drive of the poor and dispossessed as a powerful and revolutionary class force. And as I end this grounding, to give you a little bit about what you'll be hearing this season, just before the COVID-19 pandemic, the union was reestablished at the 2019 Poor People's Campaign Congress. And over these next several weeks, you will hear more from leaders, teachers, and preachers engaged in the fight against the forces of oppression that exploit the poor and how leaders engage in building a mass movement to end poverty during this season of Advent. So once again, my name is Savina, and welcome to the 2023 Winter Offensive Season of Advent.
And so good to be with my Freedom Church family tonight, especially now as we're kicking off this winter season, the season of Advent, the season of revolution. And upon reflecting on what the season means right now, especially in this moment, I see the season as a time for moral clarity, especially right now. It's time for clarity. As the days are literally getting darker, as it's literally getting darker outside, it feels like empire believes that it can suffocate the fire of resistance. It's literally getting darker. They feel like they can suffocate our fire. They can suffocate the truth. This is why right now it's time to be clear. We got to be clear. There are so many lies floating around right now. We've got this myth of scarcity, that the system is as good as it gets. And there are so many lies about what's happening in Gaza and the US's involvement. And these lies are coming from our nation's leadership of all places. They're the ones spreading these lies. And it's reflecting this week on this service, I've seen just a lot of slander lately, especially of Gen Z and young people like myself. And the slander is coming from these politicians and the mainstream media because we're speaking up right now and taking a stand. I've seen so much slander. They're saying that we're spreading misinformation. They're saying that we're confused because this is so new to us and that we're just being too emotional and we don't know how to respond to what we're seeing. And I've even seen some folks saying that, we got to preserve our mental health and we just need to look away in this moment. We just need to turn it off. Well, the children of Gaza, they don't get to look away. Many of them are dead right now. We cannot look away. This is the season, this is the time to be clear. The US's militarization of the world cannot continue. The crisis of homelessness in this country cannot continue. The war on the poor and the homeless cannot continue. We will not look away. We shall not be moved in our position, and our fire will not burn out. This is the season to remind the world that truth is here. Love is here. Movement is here. Thank you tonight for being here with the Freedom Church. The mission of the Freedom Church of the Poor is to be a spiritual home for movement leaders and a place to help nurture moral leadership for the struggle to end poverty, systemic racism, ecological devastation, militarism, and the false moral narrative of Christian nationalism. We reject the religion of empire, which blames the poor for their poverty, pits poor and dispossessed people against each other, and promotes the false narrative that poverty cannot be ended, only alleviated through charity. The Freedom Church of the Poor began meeting in March of 2020, just as the COVID-19 pandemic was breaking out in the US. The Freedom Church comes together in these times of necessity to help end the system that is killing us. We are a loose network of workers, poor folk, pastors, organizers, thinkers, and fighters. We are bound together by our conviction that the world does not have to be this way, and that this is not as good as it gets, because God created abundance for all, not just for a few. We are interfaith, interspiritual, and non-religious, and come from every region of the country. We welcome all who wish to be a part of the movement and all victims of empire. And for our season statement, tonight being the first service of the season of Advent of Revolution in the Winter Offensive. As we enter the season popularly known as the most wonderful time of the year, we find our world in turmoil. War and crisis are raging around the globe, and we see horrifying violence, dehumanization, and death in the Holy Land. Elected leaders in the US fund this violence in the name of securing peace and democracy. Companies continue to reap record profit off of it, and the poor and dispossessed suffer most. We are denied vital resources to life, healthcare, food assistance, housing, and we are told that the cause of our own poverty or led to blame other sections of the poor and dispossessed. The Freedom Church of the Poor, together with partners from various fronts of struggle, will use the next 9 Sundays from Thanksgiving to Martin Luther King Day to hold a spiritual space of prayer, song, learning, and community for our movement leaders. We will use this time to invite in new leaders and organizations to share their insights and experiences, to get organized, and to continue to unite the poor across lines of division. We will lift up the true revolutionary power of the story told during this season, that the birth of a poor, brown-skinned Palestinian Jewish leader from the backwaters of empire who helped bring down the mighty from their thrones and revealed a new way of peace, one rooted in justice, truth, and love.